Chaotic scenes during immigration raids at California farms today. Many who witnessed these confrontations left feeling rattled.
Let me tell you, I'm scared, even though that I'm a citizen and everything, but it's still, I'm scared, really scared.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Federal agents raided 2 farms in California today, clashing with protesters who showed up at both of those scenes. In the end, 4 protesters were injured during those confrontations. Some protesters refused to leave as federal agents deployed tear gas outside of one farm in Santa Barbara County this afternoon. Just minutes after that, agents got back into a military vehicle and they drove away. People who run that farm say it's unclear exactly how many workers were detained today.
They came in and took some people out of the greenhouse and detained everybody. I'm not quite sure right now. About 10 people.
Congressman Salud Carbajal showed up at that farm this afternoon saying these raids have gone too far.
Look, if they want to deport criminals, that's one thing. This is not deporting criminals. This is going after everyday, hard-working immigrants that are here working the fields to provide food on the table of Americans. And so that we get it at the price that we get. That's what's happening. And this is just ridiculous. It's tragic.
And just further south from there was another raid today at another farm. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez spoke with protesters who were in the middle of a tense scene there.
The crowd runs as canisters of gas hit the ground off Laguna Road, where protesters have been facing off with Homeland Security officers carrying out an operation at a local farm. The only option is to take cover with protesters behind a vehicle.
Are you guys okay?
Yeah, we're okay.
You're all right? Oh, that's good.
From Skyfox, you can see quite a few people lined up, sitting on the ground at one of the farms. You can also see more federal personnel using gas to push back protesters who've gotten word of the operation.
Get water!
But more people show up to continue the standoff on one side of the barricaded road and the other, where trucks are trying to get in, even emergency vehicles. Ventura County Fire confirming their units were dispatched to provide medical aid along the road for people who'd called 911 after getting hit with the gas or rubber bullets.
If you do get attacked by tear gas and or rubber bullets, just please ask for help. There is a bunch of water and milk here. Help each other out.
Military helicopters can be seen flying low onto the fields, a maneuver generally used to flush out people hiding. No one on the ground's answering our questions or those of people trying to reach family members who were working at the farms.
My mom was here and I try to contact her, but she doesn't answer me. There's nothing I can really do.
And that was Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez reporting. Images that were picked up from a helicopter's camera today appear to show someone at that farm holding a gun. At that scene in Ventura County today, the person holding it was backing away from federal agents as tear gas was being deployed. It is unclear if that person fired that gun or whether anyone was injured. We did reach out to the Department of Homeland Security to comment on both of these raids today, and we are still waiting for a response. Also in Southern California, ICE agents trying to detain a man from Honduras chased him into a surgical center, and one agent found himself in a tense standoff with clinic staff members. This all unfolded at Ontario Surgery Center on Tuesday when staff demanded to see the arresting agent's identification and a warrant. Staff members say the man being detained, Dennis Guillen Solis, is a landscaper at that clinic.
And of course, he does what most people would do. He runs. He's scared for his life at that point. He runs into this clinic asking for support, asking for help, where then the armed gentleman again comes in masked, and the staff at this point also begins to feel worried and concerned for their safety.
The Department of Homeland Security says officers were conducting a targeted operation to arrest 2 men getting out of a vehicle. DHS identified one of those men as Guillen Solis. The department also said that surgery center staff members, quote, assaulted law enforcement and attempted to obstruct that arrest. Today, attorneys representing some California workers asked a federal judge for a temporary restraining order to halt what they believe are unlawful immigration enforcement raids. This proposed class action lawsuit was filed by the ACLU and a group called Public Counsel. They say federal agents are targeting people based on perceived race and ethnicity. The Department of Homeland Security denies the claims of unlawful practices or racial profiling. It remains unclear when a judge is going to issue a ruling in this case. Also today, a federal judge blocked the Trump administration from enforcing an executive order meant to end birthright citizenship nationwide. President Trump's order would deny automatic U.S. citizenship to the children of undocumented parents. The ruling from a U.S. District Court judge in New Hampshire stems from a class action lawsuit filed by the ACLU. The judge's order included a 7-day delay to allow the Trump administration to appeal. Legal analysts say they expect the Supreme Court will eventually uphold the 14th Amendment.
I'm still predicting that the Supreme Court is going to uphold birthright citizenship and strike down the executive order eventually.
In late June, the Supreme Court issued a ruling limiting the ability of lower court judges to issue nationwide injunctions, leaving class action lawsuits like this one as one of the only workarounds. The ruling puts the issue on a fast track to return to the U.S. Supreme Court. Today, mourners gathered in Idaho to pay their respects to one of the firefighters killed in an ambush. Firefighters from all across the country traveled to Coeur d'Alene to honor the life of Battalion Chief John Morrison. Family members kept today's service private, allowing only family, friends, and first responders to attend. The public paid respects by lining the streets in this area for a funeral procession. Battalion Chiefs John Morrison and Frank Harwood were shot to death last month. Investigators say a man set a fire and then ambushed those firefighters as they were rushing to fight the flames. Search teams eventually found the suspect's body in some nearby woods. Battalion Chief Frank Harwood's funeral will be happening tomorrow. U.S. Marshals have now called off a search in one of Idaho national forests for a man suspected of killing his 3 daughters. Authorities began searching for Travis Decker in the Sawtooth National Forest after getting a tip that someone who resembled him was in that area over the weekend. Investigators say they were able to find that person, and they say it is not Decker. Search teams have been looking for Decker ever since last month, when investigators believe he killed his daughters in Washington. Their bodies were found near a campground in that state. Newly released time-lapse video shows how water from this week's flash flooding in New Mexico filled up an office building. Scenes like these were repeated across the small town of Ruidoso after Tuesday's monsoon storm. 3 people died during that severe weather. New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham says at least 200 homes were damaged in the flooding, and authorities say that number could double as teams survey more neighborhoods. One man who watched this disaster unfold says he feels for his neighbors who lost everything.
It was tragic. You watched everything they owned, everything they had, everything went down. This was the worst ones we've ever had. It was absolutely unbelievable.
The state has received partial approval for a federal emergency declaration that's allowing some federal workers to assist with the response effort. A Colorado man who is heartbroken by the images of flood damage in Texas says that he could not sit at home while so many people were suffering. Fox's Jillian Hartman spoke with him after he packed up his car and headed to Texas to help.
Well, we learned a man traveled from Colorado to Ingram here to help those in this community that have been through so much. He saw the devastation online and on television and has volunteered to help in any way he can.
It is very emotional. I was at home and I cried many times watching the videos, and that's when I decided that I needed to come down here.
Michael O'Day of Colorado tells me the images he saw of the disaster last week were heartbreaking, so he jumped into action.
I contacted a bunch of my friends and we collected about $4,000, and I packed up my trailer and headed down here.
He loaded up his truck on Monday with first aid kits, waters, Gatorade, and equipment like chainsaws and generators. Then on Tuesday, he drove down with his dog to the Kerrville area.
Off all my supplies, which is unbelievable, the amount of supplies that are available that people have done. Texas is strong.
This area means so much to him. He likes to bring his RV and vacation here at the HTR RV Park and Campground, which was sadly wiped out by the floodwaters. He says more than 30 RVs were swept away. He shared these photos of what's left of the spot he would normally park his RV.
And then when I pulled in here and saw the destruction, it's unbelievable. These people are like family to me, and it's I can't imagine what these people went through.
He now wants to help this community he loves get back on their feet.
I'm just so grateful to see the outpouring of help that's here. I'm just a very small piece of all this, and you've seen all the command centers and everything like that. It's amazing how Texas has come together.
Now, we've been hearing more incredible stories of Good Samaritans just like Michael. He tells me he's going to stay in the area for the next week to lend a helping hand. Reporting in Ingram, I'm Jillian Hartman, Fox News.
In weather, here's our live camera in Phoenix right now. A very hot day, intense heat, currently still 110 degrees. We'll talk more about the heat coming up with your full update after the break.
Pretty hot today, I know. It's going to go up to like 108.
And we will find people that maybe have run out of water days ago.
And we'll talk about that dangerous heat in the Southwest tonight. We'll show you what's being done to help those who are most at risk during this kind of weather. And also a rare find in Colorado to tell you about. Geologists cannot believe what museum visitors were walking on top of for decades.
What else is underneath here? This is astonishing.
Tonight, investigators in Los Angeles County are looking into what caused an underground sanitation tunnel to collapse, briefly trapping a group of workers. Rescuers used a crane to lift 31 construction workers from that tunnel after the collapse that happened last night in Wilmington. Authorities say the workers were about 5 to 6 miles away from the tunnel's only entrance.
There are no significant or major injuries that I know of. There have none been reported yet, but we understand that our crew that was working down in the tunnel boring machine, which is approximately 5 miles heading towards the coast from this point, and it was designed to build a tunnel about 7 miles long before it reached the coast.
That tunnel is being built to carry treated wastewater from LA out to the Pacific Ocean. The Trump administration is suing the state of California over its egg production laws. Proposition 12, passed by voters in 2018, mandates certain protections for animals, including that hens can't be crammed into cages and must have enough space for movement. Federal officials say the measure, which applies to out-of-state egg producers who sell products in California, prohibits farmers from using agricultural methods that help to keep eggs affordable.
When you pass mandates and laws that require farmers all across the country to invest millions of dollars refitting and refurbishing their barns, those costs end up getting passed to consumers.
California Attorney General Rob Bonta said he will defend the California law. It has already been upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court. Many economists blame soaring egg prices on the avian flu outbreak that began back in 2022. Today, Arizona launched a new alert system designed to call attention to missing people in indigenous communities. The Turquoise Alert will operate in a similar way to Amber Alerts. A bill signed into law last month by Governor Katie Hobbs made the creation of this alert system possible. The legislation is also known as Emily's Law. It honors the life of Emily Pike, an Apache tribal member who was found dismembered after being reported missing earlier this year. All right, let's turn now and talk about our weather here in the West. And we have soaring temperatures across the West. Dangerously hot weather, a big concern in Nevada as well as Arizona. This is a live look tonight at the Las Vegas Valley, where excessive heat has officials out working to help make sure that the most vulnerable populations are safe. Fox 5's Victoria Saha shows us what they're doing to keep people safe.
Even standing here for this report, I'm getting really hot, so you can imagine how hard it is for those who have to be outdoors for hours and hours. When it gets to these triple-digit temps, we always tell you how important it is to hydrate, while the City of Henderson's public response team is making sure everyone has access to water. These cans of water can be life-saving for anyone out in the sun.
We start as soon as it starts getting hot.
We got ice, canned water. We fill it up with ice every morning.
Public response manager James Dyer drove us around as his team checked on anyone and everyone they found out in the heat.
We're going to be going back here. We observed a couple people behind these businesses over here.
They're ice cold. They're ice cold. I got, yes, it'll help. Yeah, it's getting pretty hot today. I know. It's going to go up to like 108. It's got electrolytes too.
And for some, the team came just in the brink of time.
I was literally about to be out of liquid, so thank you so much.
The team has more than 20 officers spread across the city of Henderson every single day.
Do you come across people who may not have had water for a couple of days?
We do pretty often. We will go into some areas that are kind of secluded, and we will find people that maybe have run out of water days ago and they're severely dehydrated. And in those situations, we always check to see if they need immediate medical attention.
They approach those at bus stops.
It's going to go up to 108 today.
To parks. Even though many of the people they help are homeless, the team will offer water to anyone that might need it.
There's no qualifications to get water resources.
Would you like some waters?
The heat can be deadly in southern Nevada. In Clark County, 128 people died in the outdoor elements just last year.
When it's a heat emergency, it's all hands on deck to try to make contact with as many people as we can.
They will patrol all around the city 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., handing out water whenever they can, because when it's this hot, it is really hard to say no to ice cold water. Reporting from Whitney Mesa Park, Victoria Saha, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.
And the intense heat continues in the Friday forecast. Take a look at some of the highs from today, though. You can see 113 in Phoenix, 118 in Palm Springs, 108 in Las Vegas, and that heat kind of building into parts of Northern California as well. Redding, 104 degrees. Sacramento in the upper 90s. As we show you this, checking out the maps, this was Phoenix today. Yesterday, right around 118. Today, 113 degrees. So the record, really close to some records. The record to beat, though, was 115. The average high for today in Phoenix, 107 degrees. So once again, we're showing you this big area on the map here covered in the reds here, talking about some extreme heat warnings, in fact, as you can see, basically for today. So this expires later on this evening, but they're still talking about some dangerous heat for tomorrow. Right now, it's 107 in Las Vegas, Reno 91 degrees, Los Angeles checking in 68, and then some 70s for Portland and Seattle at last check. As we check out the satellite, not much in the way of a stormy activity for California or up in the Pacific Northwest, but another round of some thunderstorms out toward portions of Colorado, as you can see. So looks like those thunderstorms moving across the Rockies earlier today. As we back out the maps once again out toward California, no rainfall to speak of, just the marine layer clouds, in fact, showing up here nicely in the San Francisco camera from earlier today. So there's that fog trying to hide the Golden Gate Bridge. San Francisco downtown in the upper 70s. And then up in Seattle, a few clouds out there in the distance, a nice 73 degrees earlier today. Here's a setup for tomorrow. A warm forecast for Seattle. San Francisco has some fog in the morning and then some warm conditions for Southern California. We talked about the heat in Phoenix, and it looks like some showers and some thunderstorms, at least a possibility out in the Denver area. Here's the Fox weather forecast model showing you this. It's picking up on some of the fog near portions of the California coastline, then out toward Denver and parts of New Mexico, still showing you with the thunderstorm potential. The breakdown, as you can see, some more selected cities out toward Olympia, Washington, 80 86. Concord in the upper 90s in the Bay Area, Santa Clarita 94, Palmdale in Southern California, triple-digit territory, in Scottsdale 109 degrees. So here is the forecast over the next 3 days. It's warm up in Seattle, lots of 80s. San Francisco, some fog in the morning. Los Angeles cools off a little bit into the weekend. It looks like those thunderstorm chances will continue out toward Denver. And temperatures, at least we're not talking about 118, but down to 109, 110 degrees for Friday and into the weekend in the Phoenix area.
All right, at least the heat is backing off just a bit for those folks. All right, Mark, thank you. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, treasure beneath a museum known for its dinosaur displays. We'll tell you about the dream find for geologists in Denver. Plus, music legend Paul McCartney is getting ready to head west. We'll have a breakdown of where you can catch him on his upcoming tour. A dig outside of a Denver museum uncovered something that no one expected. Fox 31's Gabby Easterwood spoke with geologists about what they are calling a once-in-a-lifetime find.
The museum here was doing a drilling project back in the winter, so scientists here decided it was the perfect opportunity to do some coring research, never imagining this is what would be found. At Denver Museum of Nature and Science, a dazzling discovery is on display.
Well, the main thing that led to this was serendipity.
Tucked into the Discovery Teen Rex exhibit is this nearly 70 million year old partial bone that was found at 765 feet below the museum's parking lot, the oldest and deepest dinosaur fossil ever found in Denver.
Well, I think it's pretty fascinating, cool stuff to see.
What else is underneath here? It's astonishing.
This kind of discovery, museum geologist Dr. James Hagedorn says just doesn't happen.
Finding a bone in a rock core is super, super rare. It is the Willy Wonka moment of a geologist's career.
Here's a look at what scientists say the dinosaur could have looked like. But since they only found the partial vertebrae, it's hard to say what exact species it was.
So one of the things we know about this dinosaur bone is that it probably came from a plant-eating dinosaur that lived maybe near ponds and swamps back in the day when Colorado was a tropical, wetter place than it is right now.
Rock core also found in this dig and research.
Inside these boxes are a candy land for geologists. We've got nearly 1,000 feet of rock core in here from right below the museum. And in this rock core, there are fossils, there are minerals, there are concretions, there are even ash beds from ancient volcanoes that erupted here nearly 67 million years ago.
Another discovery in this historic finding.
Yeah, who would have thought? So this is a 67.5 million year old dinosaur bone right beneath the city park. And you know, the rest of the skeleton could be under there, maybe right underneath your minivan.
In Denver, Gabby Easterwood, Fox 31.
All right, finally tonight, music lovers have a shot at seeing Beatles legend Paul McCartney performing live right here in the West.
It's been a hard day's night.
Today, McCartney announced plans to bring his tour to 4 western cities. The first West Coast stop is in Palm Desert, California on September 29th. He'll then move on to Las Vegas on October 4th. The tour lands in Albuquerque, New Mexico on October 7th, and then McCartney will be performing in Denver on October 11th. McCartney says he intends to perform music spanning his 67-year career. VIP tickets will start selling on Tuesday. General ticket sales start on July 18th. And they no doubt will be going fast. That does it for West Coast Wrap. Have a great night.